Good evening and welcome to our live transmission on the UNGA session. Just before the Chinese premier we heard the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif speaking, and of course he talked about about Pakistan standing against terrorism, against disinformation, against climate change. He spoke about multilateralism as the norm of the future and how that is the only way forward, should be the only way forward. He also talked about Pakistan and us standing against India in May. He spoke about how, of course, we are looking at tyranny in Palestine. And of course our Kashmiri brethren, of course the struggle that we continue to stand for as far as Pakistan is concerned. He also talked about, of course, their right to self-determination and of course the kind of terrorism that is being seen all over the world. Even if we look at what's happening across the border, terrorism that keeps seeping in through Afghanistan. He talked about the plight of women and children in Afghanistan. A lot was said today, of course, as he spoke at the UNGA. We'll be talking about, of course, all things that was said and how they resonated at the UNGA today. I have with me Naela Chauhan, who's a former ambassador. Thank you for being with us today. We also have with us Raja Faisal, who's a senior analyst. Thank you for joining us. And we also have with us Agha Mohammed Saleh, who's an analyst on international affairs. Thank you for being with us today. Mr. Saleh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
As far as the address of the Prime Minister is concerned today, how do you look at it? And of course, he said all things important as he spoke today, all things that resonate with the world and the issues that confront us together. And he again talked about togetherness as a very important feature of what should be the future for us as far as all those countries, that stand as part of the UNGA today. How do you look at it?
I look at it very unprecedented, very confirmed, bold, and assertive. It never happened in many previous years, and I applaud the Prime Minister that he spoke very well on all these issues which are concerning today's world, and especially for Pakistan's independent foreign policy in light of the meeting which they had in UN with the 8 Muslim leaders. And after the Israeli attack on Qatar, and the developments with the Saudi Arabia are very significant with the joint pact that we made with the Saudi Arabia. That has made our enemies, the Pakistan's enemy, number one, exposed. And it is a heads off speech, I would say.
Mr. Saleh, there's also, the fact that he spoke about multilateralism as the norm, as how he sees it as being the norm for the future. How do you look at this, and how do you look at it in the light of what has generally been said in the UNGA till now? Of course, Pakistan is being a country again and again, he said, that stands for peace, that promotes dialogue even against an aggressor like India from across the border. So how do you look at that theme overall, as the Prime Minister said?
That's how a nation should reflect the narrative, and narrative has been establishing in this recent year. And this year is very unprecedented, and I would say that I've always been very vocal and advocating this independent foreign policy, which Pakistan is, I believe, very aggressively and responsibly taking up. And the responsible attitude during the India-Pakistan escalation, how Pakistan behaved, it's again praised by the entire world.
Thank you so much.
And today, Prime Minister said something very strange. It's not 0 to 6, it's 0 to 7 knockdowns, and their defense is bleeding now, and they have to learn this lesson. A nuclear state should behave.
I think on that note, thank you so much, Agha Mohammed Saleh. Thank you for being. I'm going to go to Raja Faisal Sabji. Raja Faisal, you heard what, of course, Agha Mohammed Saleh also said, and before that, the Prime Minister, and of course, the Chinese Premier also. in the sense that, of course, you know, again, as far as peace is concerned, and as Pakistan stands tall at the UNGA, whereas a country that I'm sure we all know is missing. Do you think that also resonates and of course underscores Pakistan's, you know, own policy, our foreign policy, and the success of it overall?
Yeah, it is. Obviously, currently, if we see Pakistan standing throughout the world, globally, Pakistan's standing is very high. And when it comes to Pakistan's adversaries, especially adversary number one, India, it is standing nowhere else. The reason being they had, you know, no standing, and that's why they are not being seen at UNGA, and nobody's, you know, ready to meet them. I always say one thing I really like about Donald Trump, that he only wants to meet with the winners, not the losers. So that's why it's the second time that Pakistan's, of course, Prime Minister's meeting with Donald Trump. Second time he's meeting with Pakistan's Field Marshal Sayyid Asim Munir, and this means a lot. Reason being, they have figured out that Pakistan is the ultimate regional player, and when it comes to strategic alliance with Pakistan, it is intact, and it is being shown by the American administration that Pakistan still happens to be the most important player in the region, and that's the kind of alliance they have always been you know, continuing with. And when it comes to Prime Minister of Pakistan, he has rightly pointed out all of the points in his speech which were of course need of the hour to be highlighted. When it comes to you know, highlighting Gaza plight, he has done so. When it comes to talking about Kashmir, he did so. When it comes to you know, border contention, I mean, previously it was somehow IWT is related to Kashmir as well, because of all of our waters, they actually flow from within Kashmir. And if that contention is resolved between both of the countries, then of course we won't be having any problems. Both of the countries can live like friendly neighbors. And I think it was a very positive sign from Prime Minister of Pakistan of giving a hint that we are ready. By the way, even when India conducted you know, Pahalgam attack, false flag attack, even after that, Pakistan said that we are ready to sit on the table, we are ready to talk about anything you want to resolve with Pakistan.
We'll come back to you, Raja Faisal, but we have the Minister for Broadcasting with us from New York, and his message. We'll go to that, and then we'll come back to the studio. Please.
Mr. Sardar, how you comment on this speech made by Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Shehbaz Sharif, before UN General Assembly?
I think the Prime Minister represented the entire Muslim Ummah. He advocated the cause of the innocent Palestinians very, very strongly. Spoke about the plight of the little girl Hind Rajab, who was brutally martyred. And I think he's been one of the strongest voices on Palestine. And the whole hall was in applause with regard to Prime Minister's speech in specific reference to the Palestine issue. Other than that, I think the Kashmir issue was very well raised. He spoke about the martyrdom of young Irtaza Abbas that we lost during the war. And I think with regard to India, the way the Pakistani Variant Armed Forces under the leadership of Field Marshal Sayyid Asim Munir, the way we defeated India, I think he also made it clear to the world that we turned 7 of their planes into dust. So I think it was a very, very inspirational speech. He spoke about global issues from climate change to terrorism, but he advocated the case of the innocent Kashmiris and Palestinians very, very strongly.
Welcome back to the studio. Let me go to Naela Chauhan, former ambassador. Thank you for being with us. Naela, as far as the speech itself is concerned, you also heard the message of the Minister for Television and Broadcasting. Overall, how do you look at what has been said today, and also the one theme of the fact that we as a country have always stood for peace and dialogue, which we keep on saying, even when we've established the fact categorically that we can defend ourselves, you know, perhaps more than any other country in the region, I think one can say.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me to your program. Indeed, today is a very special day. We are also commemorating the 80th anniversary of the establishment of UNGA. And with that, it is important that peace, and the main theme for the 80th UNGA is also better together. So it's about peace, it's about harmony, it's about all the issues, and you know, Kashmir and Palestine are the two of the oldest issues on the UN agenda. So this is about time that they are resolved. Prime Minister spoke very candidly on these issues. He also showed to the world that while we won the war against India, we come with peace.
Exactly.
We
On
are
that
willing
note,
to talk.
Right. Let me come back to you on that, Naela. I'm going to go to Sardar Masood Khan, who's the former permanent rep to the UN. Ji, Sardar Sahab, can you hear me? Ji, how are you looking at this address, and particularly as we've been talking about how it means, you know, how the Prime Minister categorically spoke about the need for dialogue, and how in the future he envisions and he wants to move towards a more peaceful region. You know, even though of course, you know, we've shown the world how we can defend ourselves, we've shown the world how Pakistan is a success as far as our diplomacy is concerned. Do you think that that itself is something that needs to be underscored by all the UN at this time, and its importance all over the world at this time, the kind of turbulent times that we are living in?
Is this question addressed to me?
Gigi.
All right. Now, I think that it's a high watermark for Pakistan's diplomacy, the Prime Minister's speech today, addressing the United Nations General Assembly. And all these themes we've been raising year after year in the United Nations, Palestine, Kashmir, climate change, development also, many other issues, and Indian aggression against Pakistan. But this time, the timing is different. I mean, look at the backdrop. The backdrop is the ongoing genocide in Gaza and Israeli intention to further occupy and integrate the occupied Palestinian territory into its sovereign territory. And we have never seen a genocide like this before in history, in recent decades in particular. And what has been happening is the genocidaires themselves were justifying or rationalizing their genocide, and they are in total denial, and they have had the support of the United States of America, especially the most powerful man in the United States, President Trump. So against that backdrop, our Prime Minister has made a statement, some bold statement. It reflects the sentiments of the people of Pakistan, and is also alluded to the issue of Jammu and Kashmir. He's said that these two issues are correlated because the right to self-determination of the people of Jammu and Kashmir and Palestine has been denied for decades. Then another aspect that this year,
Another important thing that was said, and you know, I want to go on and talk about that also, is climate change and the unfairness. And I think the Prime Minister underscored it very aptly and categorically by saying that you know, the kind of climate damage that happens, and of course we are at the behest of it, and the kind of unfairness that it means when we as a country are told to go and get loans. I think categorically he said so. Is something that the world watches, and the unfairness of it itself. And of course, we need to come together, and the UN also as a body against this kind of blatant injustice that we see happening in front of us. Let's hear your views about that.
Well, 3 points that I would like to raise. One is that before I go to climate change and the debt trap, which the Prime Minister called the death trap, let me take you back to the May war between India and Pakistan. It was a devastating war. It was a war of aggression against Pakistan. Pakistan retaliated and defeated India and blocked India's aggressive intentions and aggressive designs against Pakistan. So this was mentioned in his statement. And um, Pakistan stood tall in the Committee of Nations when it referred to that war, technologically, militarily, also diplomatically. And our narrativization has been superior to India. So I think that many people must have heard that part of the statement with keen interest. The other thing, climate change. Pakistan has been witnessing these extreme weather patterns. Of flood this year, the devastating cataclysmic flood of 2022. Pakistan is one of the most vulnerable countries when it comes to climate change. And you would recall that in 2022, during COP27, Pakistan took a leadership role in persuading the world and building consensus behind a loss and damage fund. But a loss and damage fund for the developing countries, for the climate vulnerable countries, would work if it is financed by the developed nations or the nations who are responsible for greenhouse gas emissions, which are increasing the global temperatures. And that's what causes these climate catastrophes like we have experienced recently in Pakistan. Now, debt, of course, because debt and liquidity problems, these are faced by the developing countries, and the international financial system or international financial institutions have not been able to fix these problems. And therefore, we desperately need these reforms. We
And
need
he
a
talked
just
about
and equitable
self-reliance
world.
also. He said that we want to be self-reliant. We want to be, rather than going to countries, rather than going to, international institutions and begging them for funds, we want to be self-reliant, and we would rather, aim for that in this kind of climate that we are looking at.
Absolutely. But you see, in order to be self-reliant, you need to have a robust economy. And for a robust economy, you need to have trade and economic ties with other countries in the neighborhood and beyond. So this is what Pakistan is trying to do right now. We are trying to woo the United States entrepreneurs and financiers and investors to come to Pakistan and invest in our extractive industry, which would cover basically the critical minerals, lithium, rare earth elements, nickel, cobalt, copper, that is that is needed by the West in general, but the United States in particular, for
Sardar Sahab,
all new
before we let you
technologies.
go, we also want your opinion on, of course, as far as overall what the Prime Minister said when we talk about the Indus Water Treaty, for example. He was categorical about it. He also said that, of course, the kind of interference, the kind of water terrorism that we are looking at from across the border is clearly an act of war. Do you think, as far as international mechanisms are concerned, as far as the reaction of, international bodies are concerned, it's been wanting overall as far as that is concerned, that kind of terrorism from across the border is concerned also?
We've been subjected to two kinds of terrorism. One is all these networks, Indian networks, which are operating out of Afghanistan, Iran, and the Gulf states, and then they use their proxies to commit horrendous terrorist attacks inside Pakistan, killing thousands of civilians and military personnel. So this is, and now India has been called out, as a matter of fact. I mean, it used to weaponize terrorism falsely against Pakistan, but now India has been called out, and it has been, I mean, now people know what India is doing. It was caught red-handed in Canada and Australia, pardon me, Canada and the United States itself. Now, the second thing, you have this water terrorism. It's an act of war, as our National Security Committee has said, and India has taken this step unilaterally. It seeks exceptionalism. It violates all laws, and it has rejected the verdict given by the International Court of Arbitration. And I think that this is an unforgivable, an unacceptable act of war against Pakistan. And their unilateralism cannot last long because there would be reactions. And if they create this level of water stress in Pakistan, as some of us have suggested, that this can lead to more instability, more warfare in this region.
Right, fair enough. Thank you so much, Sardar Masood Khan. Thank you for your time. I want to come back to the studio. Faisal, you heard what Sardar Sahab also said, and of course, you know, there's nothing that was left out that was important in this speech. It was very succinct. He was also, you know, point by point talking about those issues that really matter today. Of course, Pakistan and India, the dynamic overall and how it relates to the international scene at this time is extremely important also. As a country, we've only responded to what was an act of terrorism.
Exactly.
He talked about 6-year-old, Irtiza Abbas also, who and I think that, you know, it's something that he said that it is, the coffins that are the smallest that are the heaviest, and that is true because we saw so many innocent people killed during that war with India, and these were children, these were, you know, innocent civilians. So that kind of terrorism is at play, has been at play for a while between Pakistan and India also. At this time, let's talk about the diplomacy that we've seen Pakistan exercise. Let's talk about what's happened as far as, you know, this absence of India from the international scene at this time.
Yeah, obviously, you know, when we talk about India right now is nowhere to be seen. They have been, of course, getting the help of Mercury. That happens to be a lobbying firm. They hired it. They have been taking their advice. They have been taking their lobbying firms, you know, different services as well, in terms of they tried to arrange some kind of meetups during the UNGA. They failed. They thought that if not Donald Trump, then at least J.D. Vance would be able to meet with the Prime Minister Modi, but that wasn't possible at all. Mercury couldn't get hold of any one of them, so that's why Prime Minister Modi didn't want to go there, because if he's going to US, of course, back home to people, he wants to show that he had somebody to meet as well. And that meeting wasn't there, so that's why it didn't go. And when overall we talk about this very incident of post-Pahalgam episode, in which we saw that there was an aggression from the Indian side, and Pakistan on the first day when they launched a missile from their side towards Pakistani side, and of course we know, as you have rightly pointed out, that 7 of those who were killed, 7 of them, they were kids. They were kids, and the youngest one was 2-year-old. And this was the magnitude of Indian aggression towards Pakistan. And that day, when we shot down the 7 planes, that was our defensive posture. And after that, the statement from the Pakistani side was that it wasn't a retaliation from Pakistan. It was a defensive posture. Retaliation is yet to come. And that's why Pakistan retaliated against this aggression, because India started, turning it into a new normal. India thought, as Palestinians, they don't say anything, or few of the Middle Eastern countries, the neighboring countries of Israel, they don't say anything to Israel because they haven't got anything to say. And then they thought that it should be a new normal for Pakistan as well. Whenever and whenever and wherever we want, with our own will, we can bomb them, we can missile them, and they won't say anything. No, this is not going to be the new normal. Pakistan actually, gave a statement in May 2025, and that was that on any given day, India ever tries to, bully Pakistan, Pakistan would retaliate, and that magnitude would be, of course, double the India is doing it with.
I want to go to Naela on this. Naela, as far as, of course, Pakistan and India is concerned, that dynamic, the way that we were understood, what India thought, of course, that is now clear as far as the world is concerned. And of course, you know, like Raja Sahab also said, there's a lot of what's happening in Israel and Palestine, you know, that we saw as coming from India. The Prime Minister spoke about Hindutva. He spoke about the fact that there is a danger of extremism. The world faces a very real danger of extremism at the hands of those that are responsible for it, like Modi in India. How do you see this, and you know, the way that this was taken up, and of course the fact that, you know, we now need a kind of reaction from the world against these menaces, and again togetherness, which is something the Prime Minister talked about?
Well, yes, it's not just how I see it, it's how everyone is seeing it. Because if you remember Mr. Modi, before going into the Operation Sindoor, he said, "Ghus ke marenge."
Yeah.
And they would come inside, and then he said, Pakistan ke jawano, roti khao ya goli khao. That kind of belligerent statement. And like Raja Sahab said, they thought they would make a new normal. But you must not forget 1998, when India did its first test, nuclear test. They started making bellicose statements against Pakistan, and they said, we'll bring Pakistan down to its knees. And at that time also we said, don't do it, otherwise we shall do it too. Yeah. And the world was quiet for India, but they were telling us, no, you're not going to do it. And they thought we didn't have the capacity. So once we did the test, the Indians were shocked, because they always have been underestimating us, and we have always been proving to them that they're wrong. It's about time, like now you are in a position of strength. So the Prime Minister says that we have won the war, but we want peace. We are willing to have negotiations, but peace with justice. It cannot be unjust. The Indus Water Treaty also, the division of the waters, initially was criticized also in 1960. But despite that, we accepted it, and we had been working on it, be it 65 war, be it 71, be it whatever episodes we have had. This was never disrupted. But this time, Modi weaponized water, which is so vicious and inhuman approach. And what they are doing in Assam, look at what they are doing with the chicken states, the atrocities they are committing there, the atrocities they are committing in Kashmir. In their constitution, there is no right for minorities. For them, you are a Hindu, whether you are whatever. Except for Muslims and Christians, they impose the British law on them. But for the rest of the minorities, they don't recognize them. They have no face, they have no identity. They want to do the same to Kashmir. So Prime Minister made a very strong statement, but a statement for peace.
On that note, that's all we have for this hour. We'll come after the headlines. Please stay with us.